Speaker Pro Tem mentioned valuable contributions by two of our members, but I would broaden that to say the valuable contribution of all of these members. The wisdom and the knowledge that has been brought to this Capitol building to make us a better place. And we need to honor that today, and I have listened well in the House chamber over the last few days, because we've had a history lesson of remembrance of great contribution to be able to celebrate here in Kentucky today, Black History Month, and as we celebrate Black History Month across this great nation called America, the United States of America, the greatest country in the world. Would you agree with that? Yes. So I would like to just make just a few remarks to say this. Senator Neal, I think you pointed out very well that it is fitting that we are here in this rotunda, because without question it is the center of our government. Just a few steps off to my right is the governor's office. Just up those steps, Chief, is the Supreme Court. Just up the steps a little further, you come to the third branch of government, the House and the Senate chamber. And I would hope that this would be remembered as a place where wrongs are righted and where we put forward our best selves. I would also include with that we do not have a perfect past, but I believe that we have done over the years, and this building is pointing us to a more perfect future. Each day is a step closer to that long arc that Martin Luther King Jr. correctly said bends us toward justice. It's been a little more than 50 years since Dr. King and Jackie Robinson and Kentucky's own Georgia Powers and others marched on Frankfort in support of needed civil rights legislation. They walked through this very building, Reggie, to make their case to the governor and to the House and the Senate. And eventually they were successful as Kentucky became the first state in the South to pass this legislation. Give yourselves a big round of applause. Kentucky has been a leader in other ways as well. Since the start of this month, many of my colleagues, as I mentioned, have been giving that history lesson to our members in the House chamber. And those brief history lessons basically have highlighted people we may not know, but we sure should know. They pointed out, for example, that a graduate of Berea College is the father of Black History Month, Dr. Carter G. Woodson. He also spent part of his life working in the coal mines, Attica, that you pointed out so very well. The coal mines of eastern Kentucky, where I'm from. Yeah. A person myself who worked in that industry for 30 years, so I know for sure that Dr. Carter G. Woodson and myself would have been great friends, without question. I will guarantee you that. What is now a month's celebration began as a week. And Dr. Woodson, he chose the second week in February because it was the same period when President Lincoln and Frederick Douglass were both born. February is also fitting as Black History Month because this is when we celebrate the founding of the NAACP, the birthday of Rosa Parks, and the congressional passage of the U.S. Constitution's 15th Amendment, which made voting colorblind. Give yourselves another big round of applause. I would argue that Black History Month extends into January as well, with the time we now set aside for Dr. King's birthday. He would have been 89 years old this year, and if he could be with us, I would like to think he would be happy with our progress. But I would say he'd be there every day challenging us and leading the charge to do even more. Black History Month doesn't just go into January, it goes into March as well to commemorate the passing of Harriet Tubman and the March on Selma and Montgomery. In April, we will mourn the 50th anniversary when we lost Dr. King and mark the 71st anniversary when Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier in baseball. Speaking of sports, May is when we will or may remember, some of us, Oliver Lewis, the jockey who was won the first Kentucky Derby back in 1875. There are countless other examples for those months and the remainder of the year. Their stories are the ones we must make sure our children and future generations know and understand, because these stories of challenge and triumph are such an integral part of who we are as a nation and who we are as Americans. Those children and future generations are the ones we are counting on to right what we may have gotten wrong. They and the world they will inherit are what I first think of when we are debating critical legislation and enacting a budget, as we will during this session. If there are those who think doing the right thing for them is expensive, I can only respond, it's nothing compared to what we lose by doing too little, too late. Frederick Douglass was right when he said, it's easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. To continue that theme, it is easier to build good schools and universities than it is to repair lost opportunities in the classroom. It's easier to build access to quality health care than it is to repair sickness and disease. And it is easier to build lasting equality, that is to repair lives that are diminished because they were never given a fair chance. I believe today those are the calls we must answer as a Commonwealth and as a nation. We are on the path, the right path, I believe. But it's up to us, all of us, to speed that journey along. So let me end these remarks by again thanking each of you for being here today and for standing on the right side of history. I encourage you to keep on doing what you're doing in the future and the days ahead to make our communities a strong communities. And you are making a difference. I'm honored to be here with you today. Thank you all so much.